I hope you all are doing well out there tonight, taking care of each other, looking out for yourself, doing what you got to do to get ahead in this world. And if you're seeing something, saying something, as long as you're doing it safely. So we're going forward with the Love to Hate You Baby series here. And this one really attracted my attention because of the sense of entitlement for this lady. And I was always afraid, but I was raised differently, to put all of my eggs in one basket, like, to be a stay-at-home mom where my husband is supporting me. My grandmother told me all the time, you got to have your own money. And I don't care if it's just like a little side business where you have a little egg money, something to make you feel independent or something like that. I know everything is about girl bosses these days. So, you want to go out there and get yours, you get it. Um, but just don't judge other people based on what they have or they don't have. And if somebody is a stay-at-home spouse to you, there is a certain responsibility that you have there. I mean, back in the days, women were supporting their husband, going out and working, in the time that women really didn't work to help put him through college. They did it. As soon as the guy got through college and got into his own life, they would, that's what I'm saying, trying to get this stuff up and working. It's not working too well. But anyway, so back in the day, then you'd be left on your butt. And a lot of these stay-at-home women, they had no skills to move forward in life to get hired for another job. And plus, it was a man's world, as James Brown says. And it was kind of difficult. But this chick, she seemed to surpass all of that. And her name was Larissa Schuster. She is an American who was convicted of robbing a life of a person without parole. And that was the murder of her estranged husband, Timothy Schuster. And she did so by submerging his body in hydrochloric acid. But the thing about this is, how usually, like in the mafia and stuff, you hear about them, using that as a motive operandi to get rid of, extra pieces of people that they don't want around. And, this is after, like, they cut up like a piece of chicken or something like that. Not this lady. Not this lady. She kind of drugs him, she ties him up, and then she pours his head in there, and then she just like pours all of this acid in the bucket with him. They're pretty sure that he either drowned of it or he died because of it. That is an extremely effing horrible thing to do to somebody that you've been with a long time. But like I said, there's that thin line between love and hate. And I think a few of us have been there, other of us have had the line crossed. That's what I'm saying, due to the unusual manner that she chose to enacted this. She made national headlines and she was dubbed the Acid Lady. Because you know what, we all love that. We all love giving a criminal or something like that a name. Larissa was born January 1, 1960, and grew up on a farm. Larissa Foreman was born on January 1, 1960, and grew up on a farm in Clarence, Missouri. She went on to attend the University of Missouri, studying biochemistry. I guess she just kicked ass on that one, while working at a nursing home. She then met Timothy, who was attending the nursing school that she was going to. They met and married, and they had a daughter, Kirsten, in 1985, followed by a son, Tyler, in 1990. Then they moved to Fresno, California, where she took a job as an agricultural research laboratician. She later went on to open her own set of businesses in Central California. And boy, I guess that things took off there. But while things were taking off and her life was moving forward and she was just at work all the time, making things, work for her, being that girl boss, she was turning into a little snippet with the husband. Nothing he did was right. She was riding his ass all the time. This is according to the research I've done. And she was just what you call a shrew. I don't know what they call them nowadays besides a biatch. So then once the marriage deteriorated in February 2002, divorce was forthcoming. Larissa and Tim fought over custody of their son Tyler and the splitting of their joint assets. Larissa was eventually awarded primary custody of Tyler and was allowed to stay in the couple's house. Tim moved out into a condominium in August 2002. Larissa and her lab assistant, James Van Gogh, broke in Tim's house to retrieve some of her belongings. Larissa reported stating to a friend, Terry Lopez, "Well, I want my husband dead. You don't understand. I could do it and get away with it." And she was just enraged because I guess she told him one day, to just get out of the house. It was just deteriorating and he was just being pushed farther and farther away from him till one day she comes home, according to the research I've done, and she's like, "You know what, just get out. I'm through with you. Just get out." And so he says he was too afraid or didn't like confrontation. I think that was part of the reason, is that had he stood up to her a little bit earlier, this may not have come to the end that it did. But she just continued to push him down and run him down, much as the bully will, and they'll go farther and farther, like Maya Angelou says, you give them a little bit, they end up taking a lot. So everybody's personality is different. I don't want to judge them. But if he had been a little more stringent in standing up to her, or maybe, I don't know what, but I just think that something could have been done on his behalf, maybe to stand up a little more for him. I'm being judgmental. It's easy to look hindsight the best sight. But anyway, she finally tells him to get out and she goes somewhere with the kids on a holiday or whatever. And so he's there alone and he moves out and he takes some things. Well, she has a freaking heart attack over the fact that he took this stuff, and she's just like in meltdown mode. If you hear the voice messages that she left him, condescending and name calling. She calls him every name in the book that you could think of and just belittles him on every platform that you can think of, and then threatens him that if he doesn't bring back her stuff, she just seems hooked on these 4 stainless steel bowls, and he had them and she wanted them and they were hers and blah blah blah, ddd, boo boo boo. And so it went on that for a long time. Meanwhile, he started suspecting that something more had been up. He's not sure, but how do you know if they're being stalked or somebody's trying to kill you? You really don't know. But with a crazy person like that, I certainly would have taken it into consideration. So then, on the morning of July 2003, he was supposed to meet with a coworker for breakfast. He'd apparently missed the appointment. Later that day, he was supposed to retrieve his son from Larissa, but he never showed up. And then she immediately became the prime suspect, as she was estranged from her husband. She was initially interviewed by the Clovis Police Department, but not charged. Despite her husband missing, Larissa and her son took the planned vacation to Disney, probably celebrating the fact that she thought she had everything going her way. Then, during the interrogation of James Pagone, who also broke into the house with her and took all that stuff, he revealed that he and Larissa were responsible for the disappearance and the offing of Timothy Schuster. He admitted that the night of July 9, 2003, he and Larissa lured Tim from his home. The pair then used chloroform and a stun gun to incapacitate him. They then disposed of his unconscious body in a 55-gallon barrel and attempted to get rid of him. And she was arrested and charged. And she was the sneaky one, that's for sure. So she had, her own little business, and she had her own little friend group in that business. So she had a friend there and she's like, "Yeah, hey, I really need to open this little storage unit over here because I need to have stuff taken care of over there, so could you possibly help me out?" And so the lady does, because, why you would do this, I don't know, but I tell you straight up, don't be putting shit like that in your name for other people. She did it, as well as renting a truck in her name so this broad could use it supposedly to move shit around. Yeah, she was moving shit around all right. She was moving that barrel and she took it to the storage unit, and because it smelled horrible and she knew it was going to smell bad. So why did you take it there? I don't get it. But anyway, she took it there anyway, knowing there was probably going to be repercussions, but hoping they wouldn't connect it to her. I don't know what was going on through her crazy mind. You put something that smells that bad out, somebody's going to come looking. And they did. And they found the body. And then they realized the body was her estranged husband, ex-husband. So then, things just take off from there. And then they talk to that Pagone guy, and he's like, yeah, it was us. I do it. And then Larissa, Terry Lopez, all of whom stated that Larissa was very controlling and forceful person. So she probably didn't give him a lot of options on what to do, on how to do it. And when you listen to her voice messages, I totally would agree with that. However, James had already confessed to the crime, which he had unsuccessfully tried to recant. Um, but you can't recant something like that. And then when the jury saw the video, they were like, Although he was acquitted of kidnapping, he was found later guilty of first-degree offing a person. And the pleas for leniency, he was sentenced life without parole. So her trial then began more than 4 years after she was charged. Her trial had moved from Clovis, California to Los Angeles due to pre-trial publicity. She had been dubbed the Acid Lady. Prosecutors alleged the injury that she had attempted to solicit his offing prior to her enacting it herself, believing that she could get away with it. Yeah, all smart people are that stupid. They also played a graphic and berating telephone message from Larissa that Tim had saved on his answering machine. Prosecutors also stated how Larissa had access to all the chemicals used in the offing of him, being that she was a biochemist and whatnot. Although her accomplice did not testify in Larissa's trial, Larissa decided to take the stand in her own defense. Yeah, whatever. It totally makes sense. So anyway, after, he was missing and gone, and she was just out there having fun. She was taking trips. She was being her best self. I guess she went to France on a herself trip. And all the time, her estranged ex-husband is missing. I don't think she was worried even how that was affecting her kid, but now she ought to worry about how it's affecting her. Huh? Love you guys. Good evening.